With all the issues going on in South Florida with condominiums, people have been asking, can you even finance a condo in South Florida, and is it worth buying a condo in South Florida? Hey everybody, I'm Palm Beaches Paul, your local realtor and guide to South Florida living, and welcome back to my channel. I'm standing in front of the Costa condominium building. This back here is a building over this way and a building over there, right here in downtown Boynton Beach. And I was just in those buildings last week with one of my buyers who's here looking for a condominium for her mother. And the question that I've been getting from a lot of people ever since I made my condo crisis video has been, is it worth buying a condo in South Florida right now? Can you finance a condo in South Florida with everything that's going on? I've had a lot of you say after watching that video that you were gonna buy a condo, but now you're not. And that was never my intention to scare anyone off. I was just trying to bring to light the situation that is at hand and still is at hand here in South Florida. A lot of these condo buildings, especially the old ones and anything 3 stories or taller, are getting recertified. They're going to have inspections done before December 31st of this year, or they could face penalties. So a lot of you have been asking, can you finance, or is it worth buying a condo? And the answer to that is yes, it is worth buying a condo, and today we're going to talk about it. So the buildings behind me are called the Casa Costa. Those were built in about 2009, and I was just in those condominiums last week with one of my buyers. Now she is a cash buyer, so she doesn't have to worry about financing, but they had some nice units in there for sale, and prices have been coming down. We've seen some price drop. And over here to my other side, these are the Marina Village condominiums as I pan up and show you those. And those were built in about 2006. And I actually had a client who saw me on YouTube and he bought one of those condos up there. Hey Jerry. But so that's a nice building. Now you see the balconies. Let me go zoom up a little here. You see the balconies? How they're kind of dirty there? So those are some of the things that on a condo will have to be fixed. Those are some things that you're gonna watch for. And when you see stuff like that, you want to ask questions about the condo, and we're going to get more into that a little bit. But there are still plenty of good condos to buy here in Florida. You just got to ask the right questions, and you got to have the right realtor. That would be me. And if you look at those condos and you look at the balconies there, you can see, you know, a little bit of wear and tear that's going on, which is normal. Those are the kind of things that condos are getting done. They're getting repair work done on them. Now, I don't know if this particular condo building is doing anything. It's just showing a little bit of age on it, right? That happens when you're this close to the salt water. But that's what a lot of the condos here in South Florida are going through. They're having inspections done to find out what needs to be done with the condos, and that's what everyone is concerned about. But it doesn't mean that you can't buy a condo in one of these, you know, a unit in this building right here, and that there's anything majorly wrong. You just have to ask questions. And who wouldn't want to live in one of those condos? You're really close to the marina right here, right? You got this marina. That's the Intracoastal Waterway right over there. And then you'll see we got 2 Georges. I've done a lot of videos down here. 2 Georges and Banana Boat right around the corner, all within walking distance. So, and when I helped him buy his condo here, he bought it for somewhere about $430,000, and I think he sold it for somewhere for around $650,000. But he did sell it at the height when things were really kind of going crazy with sales, and that's probably why he took the money and ran. So we have seen prices come down. The Casa Costa, where I was just over there looking, I was looking at condos over there, and they were under $300,000. Not all of them, but the ones that we looked at, those were 1-bedroom units, but they were under $300,000, and she's looking for something for her mom, so that would work for her. And I don't remember what the HOA fee is, but I'll try and find it for you guys. So condominium is a great option for purchasing a property. A lot of you are looking for winter places, right? So you don't want a full house with all the headaches of a full house to take care of and a yard and all the maintenance. So you buy yourself a unit in a building. You buy that unit, and with that unit comes all the amenities: a nice swimming pool, a fitness center, maybe your water is included, cable, internet. All those things are included with your monthly HOA fee, including the insurance on the building, right? And we know that's been going up, but there's been some good news in Florida lately. There was just 6 new companies introduced to the state of Florida, and those companies all write policies for commercial buildings, for, condo buildings. And so it's going to be the master policies, but those master policies affect your overall monthly payment on your HOA. So the fact that there's more competition, meaning you don't necessarily have to go to Citizens, which is the state pool of insurance here in Florida, you have some options to get better quotes. At least the condo board does, right? Get a better quote for the building, which overall affects your monthly HOA payment. But condos are great. They give you access to living in a building like this for a couple $100,000, and you can be right here close to the water. You can find condos, as low as $100,000 maybe in some places now. You just always have to look at, what's included with that, all the way up to multi-million-dollar condominiums. So they're still a good investment. You just have to do a little extra work. I have to do a little extra work. Together, we do a little extra work, and we find a place that you can call home or make it your winter vacation. Condos, they're a good thing, right? You can still buy them. They're still selling. People are still buying here in South Florida. I just put a buyer under contract a week ago. It was a cash buyer. They found a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condominium just west of 95 in Delray Beach. Had a reasonable priced monthly HOA, and we're under contract, and we're going to be closing later next month. Now, something else that I saw when we were looking at all those condos with my buyers is that a majority of the sellers were paying the assessment. So yes, there are assessments going on. Many of the buildings are getting their inspections done and finding out that they have things that they need to have fixed. And those things cost money, as we talked about in the condo crisis. So instead of passing that on to new buyers, a lot of the sellers are paying it themselves. But not only that, I'm seeing price drops. So when we were looking at all these condos, not only did we see price drops, but we saw that the seller was paying the assessment. That's a win-win for you. I mean, it's got to be the right condo for you. It's got to be the right price. We know all that. But the fact that we're seeing price drops, and I'm seeing them a lot. On a lot of the units we looked at, we saw some form of a price drop. We're seeing properties sit a little bit longer, which gives you a little bit more power to negotiate. And in most cases, the sellers were paying the assessment, which they paid at the closing, right? At the end, they'll pay that assessment in full, and there you go. They're taken care of. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to have some form of assessment that could pop up somewhere in the future. That's part of owning a condo. There's always maintenance. So there's a good chance that you buy the property, there's no assessment. Doesn't mean 6 months down the road, there's not another assessment. So that's part of what we're going to talk about some of the questions you need to ask. So let's talk about buying a condo and some of the ways you can buy a condo. Now, for the most part, things are still the same as they were before you ever watched one of my videos or before the condo collapsed. You can go buy a condo and pay cash, right? But there's been a lot that's changed with some of the laws and some of the things that you need to watch out for ever since the collapse. And that's what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about cash, and then FHA. Yes, you can buy a condo FHA, although it's extremely difficult to find one. And then the traditional conventional loan, which is what most people do for buying a condo down here if they're not paying cash. So the FHA loan, the first time home buyer's loan, as a lot of people like to call it. Buying a property with only 3.5% down. It's a beautiful thing. And there are condos that you can find in Florida. But as I said, they're far and few between. As of December 2020, there were only 220 condo units or condo buildings approved for FHA insured financing in the state of Florida. Less than 1% of condos that are financed in Florida are FHA. So that tells you a little bit about how hard it is to get a condo with an FHA loan here in the state of Florida. Now, before we jump into the financing, and I am not a mortgage expert or finance expert, so please don't take my word on any of this. For financing, reach out to your local lender, or better yet, if you're looking down here in South Florida, I will hook you up with a lender that I know can help you out, but don't take my word for it. I'm a realtor. So yes, I'm a licensed realtor in the state of Florida, and I can help you buy and sell properties here. I'm with True Floridian Realty, and all my contact information is listed down below. And if you go down and click my new link, yes, I have a landing page now. If you click that link, fill out the information on the landing page, then I can have you in my database and I can keep you updated about all the events that are going on here in South Florida. I can set you up on a drip. So if you're looking for properties and say you want to know what condo prices are, but hey, Paul, I'm not going to buy for maybe a year, that's okay. I can still set you up on a search of all the condominiums that you're looking for in your price range and features that are for sale right now. And you can follow that and see how the prices change, see if they're dropping, see if they're going up, see everything about the condominiums that you're interested in or house or whatever. So be sure to click the link, go there, and as a bonus, I'll be sending out a special gift to anyone who signs up on my link from my real estate office. And don't worry, I'm not going to spam you because I freaking hate spam myself. So FHA loans are a great option for someone looking to get their first property, especially if that first property is a condo. But not all buildings are FHA friendly. Matter of fact, most of them are not. And here's why. It's very difficult for the condos to become FHA friendly. It's a lot of work. They have to apply, they have to go through a lot of red tape to make sure they qualify. On top of that, the building itself, their finances, and a whole lot of stuff have to be in order. So let's talk about what those are. So first of all, if it's going to be an FHA loan, and this applies to a lot of loans, but particularly FHA, the condo has to have 10% in reserves. 10% of their operating budget has to be set aside in reserves. So that's mandatory. Another thing that they have to have is that only a certain percentage of the units can be rented out. Majority of the units have to be owned. So they want to make sure that the majority of the units are owned by other owners like yourself. They have to have the proper insurance. They have to make sure that the insurance on the condo building is sufficient, that the deductible is within reason, and that they have good coverage on the building. Because again, the lender, right, they're lending the money, they don't want to lend money on a building that's in disrepair and falling apart. So a FHA approved condo building is a condo building that has been approved by HUD, Housing and Urban Development, or a HUD approved lender. Now you may be wondering, how do I find an FHA approved building, Paul? Well, that's a great question. And you need a lot of luck. So you go to the HUD website for FHA approved properties. You can go to their website, and I'll put a link down below, and you go there and you click on the link and you go and you search for buildings in whatever state you're in, and then you narrow it down to the city, and it will provide you with a list of buildings that are FHA approved or HUD approved condominiums. So you get your list and you go online and you find it, and you find a building that is FHA approved. So then you look to see if there's some condos in there that you like. Now, one of the things you want to do is make sure that they are up to date with their approval. We're looking at a government website, so it may be delayed, it may not always be up to date, and you want to make sure that the condo that you're looking at is FHA approved before you go through all the excitement of putting an offer in on it. And if it is and everything checks out and your lender's like, yep, this is a good place, and they're HUD approved, then you can go and submit your offer and hopefully get yourself your first condo. So pretty simple for the most part. You just have to do a lot of legwork before you get there. And the problem is, as I said, here in Palm Beach County, there's next to none. There's just hardly any. I don't know the exact number, but I know I've looked for people before, and there's practically nothing available that was an FHA approved condo building. So then if you don't qualify for conventional loan, then you're kind of out of luck and you can't buy condos, and you're back to looking for a single family home or something, which again, condos are a little less expensive than a house. So it's kind of almost a dead end for a lot of you, because buying a condo was the only thing that you might qualify for price-wise. So, or you have to go look out of Palm Beach County or another city, another state for that matter. So, all right. So, but that's trying to get a condo with an FHA loan, and yes, you can. But again, it's not typical. And as you heard me say earlier, less than 1% of condos that are bought are FHA approved here. So, all right. So now the next option, right? What's the next option? Well, the next option is your conventional loan. So let's talk about that. So you can get a conventional loan for as little as 3% down, but that again is sort of like an FHA loan, right? Finding a condo that's going to take 3%, almost impossible. Even 5%, although I have gotten people approved and found condos with a 5% down loan and they're living in their condo. So it was a couple years ago, but it's possible. But typically you're going to be doing 20 to 25%, and if it's not your primary residence, even as high as 30% down to finance a condo. And then from there, there's still some hoops that we got to go through. So there's two kind of properties that lenders look at here in South Florida: warrantable and non-warrantable condos. So let's talk about warrantable. So a warrantable condo is if you're going to put a loan on the building, the first thing the lender is going to look at is they're going to want to see that, again, they have that magic number, 10% in reserves. They want to make sure that 10% of their operating budget is set aside in the reserves, okay? They also want to make sure that they have the proper insurance on the building, again, with a reasonable deductible. Those are some of the things that they're going to want. And they're also going to make sure that the building has been inspected and has no issues. Going here back to the collapse, right? Some of the new laws that have been put in place in 2022, where all these buildings now have to have their inspections done by December 31st of this year. So the lenders want to make sure that there's no hiccups. There's no new roof, no new balconies, nothing. They want to make sure there's no headaches with the building and it's in tip-top shape before they're going to say, okay, this is a warrantable condo building and we're going to go ahead and approve getting a loan for this property. Now, many of the condominiums in South Florida have fallen behind on the reserves, which makes them non-warrantable. But you can still finance it. It's just that, as I said, you're going to end up putting about 25 to 30% down to finance one of these condos. But there's still some things that we need to check out. A lot of the questions that have come up and some new things that apply to buying a condo. All right, so you found a condo building, you're going to put an offer on it, and it's a financeable condo. So everything's good. So some things that you have to make sure of when you're buying a condo, especially now. So you're going to obviously go through and do your inspection, and during your inspection period you're going to ask for all of the condominium docs. You have a right to those. There's actually a paragraph on a rider called the condo rider that says you have a right to those documents, and if you don't get them, you can cancel the contract. It's a little phrase in there that says basically, I've asked for these documents. Most of this gets done during your inspection period anyway, so, but if for some reason someone didn't give you the documents and you went past your inspection period, it says that you have 3 days to review these documents and decide if you want to live there or not. Typically doesn't happen, so I would say it's going to get done in your inspection period, which is typically going to be anywhere from 5 to 10 days, depending on what you negotiate with the seller. But you're going to ask for all the condo docs. You're going to get the rules and regulations. You're going to get the covenants, all the documents, all the things that the condo association has put together and has on paper, and you're going to review those documents. Not your realtor. No, your realtor doesn't review those. We're not lawyers. You review those, or you and your lawyer. You're going to look through those and make sure that everything in there jives with you and you're okay with it. Like, I can only have one pet, and that pet can weigh no more than 40 pounds or 20 pounds. If you have a 25-pound dog, don't go trying to, squeeze the dog in there and then they start griping at you because your dog looks bigger than what a 20-pound dog should look like. I'm serious. I mean, condo rules are strict for a reason. So, and then there could be rules in there about no trucks if you have a truck, right? You wouldn't think that, but some condos don't allow you to have pickup trucks. So whatever the rules are, you have to read those rules during your inspection time and make sure that you're completely happy with all those rules. And you also want to look at, again, their finances. Make sure that their finances are solid and everything looks good. A very important one, you want the minutes of the last meeting. Why? Because how do you know if you buy today and everything's good and there's no assessments, but they didn't speak about the repair to the pool or the roof that's going to be done 6 months later? All right, so we reviewed the minutes of the last meeting. It looks good. You don't see anything, scary that's coming up. Again, doesn't mean that a year later something comes up and they do vote on it and you're going to have an assessment. That's always the possibility with owning a condo. Remember, you own a house, you pay for the roof by yourself and you have to get a new roof, or the AC goes out, or the plumbing or electrical. You live in a condominium, stuff gets worn out, the collective pitches in and pays for it. So, all right, so you're gonna look for all those. You're gonna ask them if they had their inspection done. And the exact term you're gonna ask for is the milestone inspection. That's the one that everyone's getting done, the 40-year inspection. You're gonna ask them if they had one, and if they did, you're gonna ask for the report. and then you're going to ask, was there anything in the findings that you need to be concerned about? Again, these all go back to whether it's going to be a warrantable or non-warrantable condo, but even if you're paying cash, you want to know these things. You want to make sure that there's nothing looming that's going to cause you a big fat headache in the future. All right, so you've gotten all your documents and everything looks good and there's no major issues with it. So you move on now with the purchase, right? You move past your inspection period, you submit your application in for the HOA, the condo board, right? Because you got to get approved before you can close on it. And hopefully all goes well and the condo appraises and all those good things happen and you get to close on your condominium. So as I said earlier in this video, it's not a bad time to buy condos. Now I know the interest rates just went back up and that part sucks. So if you are financing, that's not good, but hopefully the prices coming down will offset that a little bit. As I said, I've seen a lot of price drops. Most of the units that we went out and looked at with my buyers all had some form of price drop. And as I said, most of them, not all, but most of them were paying the assessment in full. So those are all good signs for buyers. So, you know, as I said in the beginning, when I made the video about the condo crisis, and then I started getting comments from a lot of you that said, hey, thanks, Paul, we were gonna move to Florida, but now we're not because we don't wanna buy a condo. I apologize, that wasn't my intention to scare you off. Again, you have to do what's right for you, but there are plenty of fine condominiums to buy down here that are, you know, newer or older, but they've done all the structural repairs that they need to, and they're in great shape, and people are living in them and enjoying their life and living this beautiful South Florida lifestyle that you could too if you moved down here. So don't be afraid, just reach out to me. I'll do the homework with you. I'm already working with quite a few other buyers that have me looking at condos for them right now who aren't even going to buy for maybe a year and some 2 years, but they're still looking at the condominiums and I'm sending them the information. Like I said, if you click the link and sign up on my landing page, I can schedule you for a property search, which is 100 times better than Zillow and Redfin, because you won't get properties from me that have a country club membership or are 55 and older when you're not even 40 yet. So be sure to click that link. All right, so there you go. That's how you buy a condo in South Florida, at least a little bit of how you buy a condo in South Florida. If you have any needs about buying or selling here in South Florida, please reach out to me. I'm Paul Lykins with True Floridian Realty. I'm a broker associate. I've been selling real estate here for 12 years. I know the condo market very well. I've helped a lot of people buy and sell condos as well as single family homes. And if you find value in these videos, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, like it, leave a comment down below. I love it when people leave comments, and be sure to click the bell so you can get notified every time I release a new video. I typically release a new video every Sunday at 10 a.m., but I am going to go back to doing my live streams on Wednesday. I'm just trying to line up some guests so I can have people come on and answer the questions that you guys want to have questions and ask them. So stay tuned for that. And the only way you get notified of that is if you have that bell clicked, because then you'll get notified when I go live. All right, guys. Well, wherever you are in the world, get out and enjoy paradise. Look at my view. This guy coming down here doing 60 on a jet ski. I bet he's enjoying paradise. All right, I'll talk to you next week. Take care.